This episode is brought to you in part by Sprout Social. Sprout Social, bringing people and businesses closer together.
Welcome to another episode of Foodable Weekly. I'm your host, Paul Barron, and today it's, as usual, covering the restaurant industry from the top down. And it's kind of an interesting concept today. We're going to really explore the ideas behind one of the best restaurant operators in the business. He's going to give us some tips and tricks that I think you do not want to miss right here on Foodable Weekly. On this show, as we have always talked about, the idea of expansion is one of the biggest challenges that the restaurant industry faces. The biggest thing that mostly happens to operators is either they're too small to expand, or maybe they've got multiple concepts and they start to die out or start to trend away, or you could be someone really special who has multiple concepts and multiple units, multiple brands all under one house. And we are seeing this more and more. Companies obviously like Union Square in New York with Danny Meyer, what they've been able to do, John Kunkel over at 50 Eggs here in Miami, and then of course Sam Fox with Fox Restaurants out of Phoenix. And these guys all have something very unique and in common with each other. They're highly creative, super passionate about the industry, and I think this is going to be a fun one to really watch. So I want to welcome our guest today, Sam Fox. Welcome to the show.
My pleasure. Glad to be here.
So Sam, we're kind of exploring the whole idea of multi-unit concepts that have kind of stemmed from independent operators who have started to really grow. Obviously, Fox Restaurants is one of the kind of the poster children of our industry in terms of success. You guys have done a super job at expanding from single unit independent operations to multi-unit, multi-brand, and wanted to really kind of pick your brain on what has been some of the challenges you've seen from a multi-unit brand and a multi-brand operator. Anything specific that you were, if you were telling or talking to operators coming through the ranks right now, watch out for this, guys. Anything you can kind of share there for us?
Sure. Well, I think we could probably do a whole show on just all the pitfalls of that.
Right.
But, for us, we've created, I always say we built a really hard company to run. And, by having so many different brands and in so many different locations, and really even the stores that we have multiples of, whether 5, 6, or 7, or 8, all those stores look different as well. And so everything that we do is different. One of the hardest things we do is the menu innovation and the menu changing. And everything that we do is typically seasonal. And out of the 15 concepts we have, I would say 10 of them to 12 of them, we change the menu on a minimum of 3 to 5 times a year.
I'm kind of curious. You've got 15 concepts, over 40 units. What size of team do you have to help you do this?
Yeah, we have probably I'd say we're pushing 80 people in an office. So we have marketing, we have IT, we have facilities, we have construction management, we have in-house architects and design teams. But what I want to say is how hard all of that is, that's also what makes us great and unique, and really what that does is keeps everything fresh within the organization.
Sam, so when you look at spinning up a brand like Flower Child, a fast casual concept, and especially doing what you're doing, which is centrally located there in Arizona, moving to Santa Monica with your first out of state, and some of the other external locations like Dallas you're mentioning, that's a lot of times for a fast casual, because we've seen a lot of development with fast casual concepts, companies like Sweet Green, who have done mostly regional development. You're talking about really spreading across a country. Are there some logistic challenges that you face with that?
There's a lot of logistic challenges faced with that, and we've gone through it with True Food. And what's great about Flower Child being a startup or being only 14 months old,
right,
it comes from the base of an organization of 50 restaurants. And so we're able to sort of, once we figure out whether we have something that should be multiplied or grown on a bigger level, we're able to go a little bit faster because we have the resources of the whole organization.
We've seen this page of music before with a company called Shake Shack. They were very strategic around very unique placement of their brand, which obviously and clearly was outside of New York where Danny got that going. And it seems to have worked for them, and they being a kind of an upscale fast casual concept for the burger side. So it seems like that has been a proven model that has been one of those that could definitely work. I'm kind of curious, now you guys, how many full service restaurant concepts do you operate right now?
Full service restaurant concepts we operate right now are 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
So fast casual being kind of one of the newer areas of your operation.
We were actually one of the first players in fast casual
With
pizza.
sauce. Yeah.
Sauce. And so we opened sauce in 2000 and 2001. And so we've been in that, and we've understand fast casual. We recently sold that about 14 months ago.
So, okay, so you get a chance to really spend time in both sides of the operation scheme.
Yes.
So that's unique and very powerful because you get to learn from all aspects of the industry. I kind of want your opinion on what we're seeing in terms of a trend now in the labor side of this no tipping scheme that is moving across the country. We're seeing it on the West Coast now, obviously generated out of New York. What are your thoughts on that? How do you feel this can really impact the industry?
I'm still kind of studying how it works. I'm actually, in theory, I'm a believer in the free enterprise system, and you work for the wage that's available to you and your skill set.
Right.
And I understand the equalities of trying to have the front of the house and the back of the house try and level off. So we're looking at it from both sides. We haven't really dug that far into it yet.
Well, if you kind of spin that to the consumer side, obviously Europe has had much of that type of system for a while, but
I travel to Europe, and I'm in Europe a lot, and I still tip. And so, am I paying twice? I just sort of the mentality of what I have, and
right.
My tip's only 10%. But I believe I'm a believer in taking care of people that are working a little bit harder and going above and beyond what maybe they should be doing. And I think it's a great reward, and the better people seem to somehow make the best money. And I think I'm a believer in that system.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about moving forward, thinking kind of into the future here a little bit. 5 years from today, if we look back 5 years, kind of the evolution of where fast casual, I think a lot of people may not have really thought that it would have had such an impact on our society from a restaurant aspect. And it's really kind of created these new avenues, higher quality food, chef-driven experiences, moving into the space. What are your thoughts on consumers in the next 5 years of really what they're going to be looking for in the restaurant space?
Well, I think it's, a trend that's going to be here and continue to grow. One of our most valuable commodities in this world is time. And so anytime that we can come up with an opportunity for people to have a great meal in a quicker, more casual experience, I think it's a positive thing. We're continuing to work in it and innovate in it. We sometimes when we had experiences that are maybe not the quality that they should be, and it's more about speed instead of quality. And so when we work on things, we talk about speed and quality. Those are equally important to us. And even in a fast casual environment, we feel like the experience is important to us as well.
And I've been impressed with this new chef movement into fast casual, where we're seeing some elevated menus. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, you're kind of a chef in your own rights.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think, we're very passionate about the food and the quality that we bring in. And, I was recently quoted as saying, Flower Child is a full-service restaurant masquerade as a fast casual.
Right.
There's just so much kitchen work as far as breaking down all the proteins, breaking down all the produce, making everything in-house and in scratch. And I think you're going to see a demand from people wanting better quality. So I think it's great to have all these chefs get in there and come up with some great quality items. Will be really interesting to see if they're financially successful, because it's really, really hard. It's based on a lot of volume and really understanding your pennies. Really, every single penny in the fast casual business, you really need to know where everything is going, because you don't have that full service check where there's alcohol and there's a higher check average where you're able to sort of make up some of those mistakes. In the fast casual environment, everyone is very sensitive to the price. Everyone's very sensitive to the experience. And so that's going to be a whole different thing where we see if all these great chef ideas are able to really translate into a business model.
Yeah, and I think you're dead on. It is much less forgiving in
Yes.
this space in terms of profitability. So,
Yep.
as usual.
No room for error.
Yeah. Sam, it was really great having you on the show. I love hearing your concepts and your ideas around where the industry is going. I definitely want to have you back on as we continue to evolve the industry here. So thanks so much for stopping in today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right, so thanks again for watching another great episode here on Foodable Weekly. Again, always reaching out to our audience here for great ideas on the next show. You can, of course, email us at producer@foodabletv.com. That's the best way to reach our producers to talk about content or topics for the show. Of course, you can hit me up on Twitter, just @PaulBaron. And of course, one of the things we always kick off with here, and that's some of the things that are happening here on the network. One of the big things that's happening is we're getting ready to launch a new show called Built. Built is an amazing concept of FCSI consultants around the country in food service operations that you may not necessarily recognize that are propelling the industry in some very unique ways. It's kind of an HGTV, but for the restaurant business. Very unique, all on location, and it's a pretty cool show to watch. We've got our first episode coming on very soon, so you can, of course, check it out on foodabletv.com and just go to the shows page, pull down to Built, and you'll be able to hit one of the first episodes. Another thing that, of course, the network is really behind for the spring here is coming up our Foodable I.O. event in Chicago, and that's going to be on May 20th, the day before the National Restaurant Association show starts. There in Chicago, we'll be hosting Foodable I.O., which is a combination TED-style event, education, a lot of input, output, hence the name, and a film festival. Right now, we're at about a dozen films coming from all over the world. You do not want to miss the ticket for this place. So right here on the lower third, you'll be able to go to that website if you're interested in attending, whether you're an operator, you could be a new brand, an executive. You could also be a food enthusiast that's really wanting to learn about the restaurant industry. You'll be able to do that at Foodable I.O. And we hope that you have a chance to make it. Thanks so much for watching on another episode of On Foodable Weekly.